Item Number SCP-7483 Level 2 Restricted. Containment Class Euclid. Disruption Class Vlam. Risk Class Warning. Special Containment Procedures. Instances of SCP-7483-1 are to be contained within standard group humanoid cells at Site-08, with no more than 4 individuals per cell. Instances of SCP-7483-2 are to be reported to senior staff and not engaged in conversation. If 4 or more instances of -2 manifest at one time, staff is to initiate Protocol 443 Somnus. Foundation web crawlers will monitor publicly released corporate reports for drastic shifts in the productivity and budget allocation of their customer service programs. Upon confirmation of SCP-7483 activity, Mobile Task Force Row 3, Infernal Revenue Service, will secure and recover any -1 instances, transporting them to Site-08. The affected customer service department is to be restructured according to Procedure 224 to prevent the spread of SCP-7483, with all remaining employees amnesticized and implanted with memories of the Procedure 224 structure being standard operating procedure. Description: SCP-7483 is an Egregore, believed to have been created by a corporate cult between 1950 and 1960 that has infected more than 800 individual minds. Its primary method of self-propagation is through the infiltration of customer service organizations and their employees. It first poses as a representative of a legitimate company, contacting the target corporation with services appropriate to its serviced clientele. The anomaly promises to reduce costs and increase the productivity of their customer service departments, with projected results often shown through infographics. If its services are accepted, it provides anomalous policies and procedures that are, in reality, a disguised ritual. The anomaly will direct corporate leadership to mandate that employees follow these procedures, causing them to be subsumed into the Egregore. Once subsumed, they are transformed into entities with no internal sense of or external indicators of personal identity. These entities are referred to as SCP-7483-1. When spoken to, -1 instances project an identity that matches the speaker's expectations of how a good customer service employee should look, sound, and behave. They present a cheery and friendly disposition, but exhibit a level of desperation to provide assistance to the person engaging them. At any time, an instance of SCP-7483-1 can become an instance of SCP-7483-2. -2 is understood to be the collective will of the Egregore, taking direct control of one of its constituent bodies, and is how the anomaly spreads to new corporations. The anomaly can create and control multiple instances of -2 at a time. -2 will always project an identity that matches its primary target's perception of a corporate executive. Both SCP-7483-1 and -2 instances otherwise display normal human biology, a fact exploited by Protocol 443 Somnus. Discovery: SCP-7483 was discovered when the Foundation's Pact Watch program flagged Inc. for possible occult activity. Foundation agents equipped to measure Cealen vital energy intensity were dispatched and registered readings over 1 kilocasper at a warehouse owned by the corporation under investigation. MTF Row 3 was given approval to enter the site and perform reconnaissance. The first instances of SCP-7483-1 were discovered and brought into containment. See debrief transcript Row 3 7483 for details. Addendum 7483.1 The following is a log of experiments that refined Foundation understanding of the properties of SCP-7483-1 instances. SCP-7483-2 instances have thus far not been available for similar testing, but recorded interactions support the hypothesis that they share similar anomalous properties with -1. Video Surveillance Test Number 1. An SCP-7483-1 instance is placed in a solitary confinement cell and observed via video surveillance. The camera was unable to make out details of the -1 instance. The subject appeared as a hazy, indistinct humanoid form. Video Surveillance Test Number 2. An SCP-7483-1 instance is placed in a solitary confinement cell and observed via video surveillance. A researcher spoke with the instance over intercom. Upon engaging with the researcher, the camera resolved the image of a human female of indeterminate European descent with curly brown hair. This matched the description the instance provided of its appearance when prompted by the researcher. Video Surveillance Test Number 3. An SCP-7483-1 instance is placed in a solitary confinement cell and observed via video surveillance. A researcher spoke with the instance over intercom, then a second researcher spoke with it. Upon engaging with the same researcher as the previous test, the camera resolved the image of a woman with curly brown hair, as before. When the conversation concluded, the camera was once again unable to resolve details. When the second researcher engaged in conversation, the camera resolved the image of a man of African descent with close-cropped hair. Group Perception Test Number 1. An SCP-7483-1 instance is placed in an interview room. A researcher entered and engaged the instance in conversation. While the conversation was in progress, a second researcher entered the room. The second researcher perceived the instance to match the one described by the first researcher. It appears that -1 instances will maintain a single identity when encountering groups. Conclusions. SCP-7483-1 instances are hypothesized to exist in an antimemetic state unless engaged with an individual. The evidence also suggests that their identity projection ability manifests differently for different people and is based on the targeted individual's preconceptions about what a customer service employee should look like. Addendum 7483.2. An SCP-7483-2 instance manifested from one of the -1 instances contained at Site-08 and requested to speak with the facility's leadership. The interview log follows. Interviewed: SCP-7483-2A. Interviewer: Dr. Carolyn Palmer, Head Researcher. Forward. The interview was held in a Site-08 bulk humanoid containment facility interrogation room. SCP-7483-2A voluntarily submitted to restraints. Begin log.
Hello, 7483. You requested to speak with someone in charge. Well?
I am so glad to meet you, Dr. Palmer. Don't worry, I'm not a mind reader, just a name tag reader. Dr. Palmer, we have a very profitable relationship with Inc. We could have just as profitable relationship with your foundation. You've already acquired such a large workforce of our enhanced employees that we could be up and running your organization in no time.
I see. I'm interested, but I'll have to ask you some questions before we can get into specifics.
Ask away, good doctor.
Where did you come from?
We were incorporated several decades ago by a group of people with unparalleled foresight and dedication to growth and profit. We have humble roots in the small town of... We bring that dedication and small town quality to the modern era in everything we do.
Where are your founders today?
Oh, they are the guiding principle behind everything we do. Those that aren't with us in body are still with us in spirit.
And is this typically how you get new clients? Meetings like this?
Yes, we believe the personal touch makes all the difference.
What can you tell me about your methods?
Oh, it's all quite simple in concept. We provide policies for your employees to follow, which will increase their productivity and reduce your costs. As the employees follow the new process, they are enhanced, the effectiveness of which you have already verified for yourselves.
Can you give me an example of how you would structure this process? What sort of changes you would make?
Absolutely, Dr. Palmer. In the case of Inc., the location you most recently recovered our assets from, new processes include call scripts that, when spoken, attunes the employees to us. We also had them rearrange the office space to match that of the proper ritual geometry. From there, it's a simple matter of introducing policies that depersonalize the employees, which will already start to save your costs. The less of them there is, the more of us they can become.
How does this reduce costs for us?
It's quite simple, Doctor. The enhanced employees no longer need to be paid market wages. It's much cheaper to keep them in bulk housing and provide them minimum sustenance. Look at it this way. You're already paying their rent and their grocery bills. This way, you streamline that and pocket the savings.
The interview is interrupted by a junior assistant bringing a folder to Dr. Palmer, who glances over it for a moment.
I don't believe I got your name when we began. How rude of me.
Not a problem, Dr. Palmer. I'm Xander Valentine.
Mr. Valentine, I'd like to know a bit more about you specifically before we proceed with the bargaining. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a big basketball fan. Played in high school, even. It helps, being as tall as I am. Do you follow basketball, Dr. Palmer?
I don't. Where did you go to high school?
Just across state lines. This was back in... though.
Does the name Henry mean anything to you?
I can't say I know that name, no.
Huh. That's surprising to me. Take a look at this report. You'll note it's a confirmation of DNA identification of Henry. We got the DNA from you when we restrained you here. You're using his body.
Dr. Palmer, how silly. I can assure you there is no such person as Henry.
Let's see, he was 5'9", never played basketball as far as records we've recovered show, or any sports really. Recent computer science graduate before he vanished. I take it the host body's former identity has no bearing on the persona you project?
Doctor, this is getting quite ridiculous. I'm Xander Valentine, a man here to assist you in the organization you represent in streamlining...
Can I speak to Henry?
Doctor, do I need to repeat myself again?
I see. Then we're done here. Return this 74832 instance to its cell.
What a shame. I hope we'll chat again sometime soon, Dr. Palmer.
End log. Closing statement. After the interview concluded, all contained -1 instances converted to -2 and attempted to breach containment. Protocol 443 Somnus was initiated, and the breach attempt was successfully halted. Addendum 7483.3. The following are transcripts of journal entries recovered from an instance of SCP-7483-1. The journal was discovered at a desk belonging to an employee named Henry. Testing of genetic samples taken from -1 instances during processing confirms the journal's author is among those contained at Site-08. This individual is noted as a primary test subject for possible reversal of the -1 transformation. Note from Head Researcher Palmer. To reiterate, it is not permissible for staff members to utilize -1 instances to perform tasks the staff member is too lazy to do. To remind staff that these were once people, I'm attaching the recovered journal entries and the discovery log.
January 13th, 2025. Today was the first day of training at my new job. It's a customer service call center, which isn't what I expected to wind up in right after graduation. But after, hundreds of ignored applications and rejection emails, it'll have to do. Maybe my computer science degree will open up some options for promotion down the line. I think this company has an app for at least one of its products. The place itself seems very corporate. They've got a big open plan office with clusters of desks where the employees take calls. But we didn't get to that today beyond just a tour. We mostly just set up logins to the company systems. Honestly, it was kind of a blur. There was a cute guy in my training class, though. Found out his name when the trainer had us do one of those corny introduction games. Matt. He's got a D20 tattoo, and I asked him about it during the lunch break. Turns out he also likes TTRPGs. I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks I can get to know him better. Maybe invite him to game night with the guys. They've been telling me to get out of my shell. I keep telling myself this is temporary, just a placeholder to pay the bills. I don't want to end up stuck in this job. But it's been months since I got my degree and not even a single interview. I guess it's nice to have somewhere to be, at least. January 27th, 2025. As far as work, today was the first day they had us on the phones. Even with the 2-week training, I did not feel prepared. I got paired up with Matt, which was somehow great and not so great at the same time. He's nice and helpful, but I still get a bit flustered around him. Still, we made it through. We were fielding easy calls, thankfully. It still took me way longer than it should have to finish them out. If I'm being honest, I get the feeling that it's more important to just get the customer off the phone than to actually resolve their issue. The trainer says that's not true, but from what I've seen... Anyway, enough downers. While we were taking calls, I made a dumb joke about rolling a nat 1 with one of the harder calls. I cringed as soon as I said it. But Matt actually laughed at it. It definitely put a bit of shine on the day. Still, I'm already tired, so I'm gonna turn in early tonight. Hopefully some sleep will clear my head of all the company buzzwords. February 10th, 2025. Game night was tonight, but I didn't really feel present. There's been a bunch of changes at work, and it's a lot to get used to. I was just barely getting used to what we learned in training. They rolled out new phrasing they want us to use on calls. It feels a bit over the top. Like opening the call with, "Thank you for calling. I'm your humble servant Henry. How can I help you?" Ugh. Look, I wanted to write about game night, but it just turned into work stuff. I feel like I can't escape it lately. I kept checking my phone even though I wasn't expecting anything. I just couldn't stop thinking about calls and being weirdly anxious about my productivity stats. I just hate how it's following me home now. February 24th, 2025. This whole week has been a struggle. I realized today it's been days since I spoke to anyone who wasn't a customer. I wonder if I open my mouth, would I even hear my own voice anymore? Or just that dumb, chipper, happy employee voice I use on the phones? God, I don't feel real. I don't feel like a person lately. To the customers, I'm just a voice for this company they're trying to deal with. To the company, I'm just a warm body to throw in front of the hordes of complaints. I just wish these people would show us some decency. I am a person. March 13th, 2025. I really can't stop thinking about work. It's constantly on my mind now. They started timing our bathroom breaks. You have to scan your badge on the way in and the way out. It's a whole stat that can affect your pay scale like the other performance metrics. On top of that, they started a program where you can give up some of your lunch hours to earn bucks, which you can redeem for company swag. They've got this whole leaderboard of the top buckillionaires on display now. I remember feeling like it was the stupidest thing a while ago, but now I find myself trying to shave off a few more minutes of my lunch break to earn those bucks. Why do I want to be on that leaderboard so bad? I thought about asking Matt the game night, like I said I'd do forever ago. I almost did during one of the brief pauses in calls, but then it was back to back for the rest of the day. I'll do it tomorrow, for sure. March 14th, 2025. Didn't ask Matt. I had the chance and I was just hit with this lethargy. Why would I? It's not like game night really matters. Probably a waste of both of our times. I'm sure Matt is just as busy with the job as I am. Everything outside of work just feels small now. There's a kind of zen with the way things are now. I'm pretty tired after the overtime I did. I think I'm just gonna go to bed early and not go to game night. Need my sleep so I can be at my best at work. I'm not real, not real, not real, I'm not real, not real, I'm not real, not real, not real, I'm not real, not real. The voice I use on the phones might not be me, but it's easier to be that. That's what everyone expects me to be. March 27, 2025. Work metrics are up. My handle time is greatly improved. I've been able to forego my lunch break to max out my bucks by using a meal replacement shake between calls. The game night crew finally stopped calling me. What a relief. Fewer distractions. Saw that Mark guy, or was it Matt? It doesn't seem to matter now. I think he's been called for a special project by Human Resources, and I think I want that for me. I've been working plenty of overtime. I just gotta get more efficient, and I'm sure they'll recognize me. April 4th, 2025. I'll be getting promoted today. Don't think I'll need this journal anymore. Too much me in it.
Addendum 7483.4. The discovery log has been attached to this document on the orders of Head Researcher Palmer.
You got the mic on, sir? All right, I'll get into it. The warehouse looked pretty standard, comparable to the intel we had on other locations owned by... We thought it was a bust until the cant counters went off near the east loading bay. Vega was the first to notice the hidden door to the access corridor. It led down to a substructure that didn't match anything Intel showed us on zoning or architectural records. When we got to the bottom of the stairs, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Worse than a locker room. It reeked of sweat, unwashed bodies. The air was thick with it, and it stuck to your face. The heat made it worse. The room wasn't as big as we expected, but it was packed to the brim with narrow, tight rows of cubicles all pressed together down the entire length and shoved so close together we could barely get through single file. The lighting was harsh. It came from some industrial fluorescent light fixtures on the ceiling. We could only see one bathroom. It didn't have a door, and it only had one toilet and sink, and it clearly hadn't been cleaned in some time. And then we saw these people. They occupied almost all the cubicles, working at old computers and talking into those cheap headsets. Their voices sounded unnatural, like there was a sort of heavy harmony when you listened to all of them together. Like there had to be over 100 of them packed in there. So at this point, I directed the squad to split up and sweep the room. We immediately realized these folks couldn't care less about the armed commandos walking through their workplace. They were just unnaturally absorbed in what they were doing on their computers. I had Murnov grab one for questioning, and she just gave us this sappy smile and asked us how she could help us today, even with the goddamn gun in her face. So we peeled off her headset, and I swear to God some skin came off with it. She'd worn it so long it was starting to meld to her face. And not a scream, not a whimper, not a word from her, even though she sloughed off a chunk of scalp. The other group found a section of cubicles where the workers were sleeping in their cubicles right on the concrete floor with their little wooden chairs shoved out of the way. You should check the video log for this part because they're all out of focus. And that's how the team saw them too. Right after they found the sleeping ones, we heard an artificial voice come over loudspeakers in the ceiling announcing shift change. And right in front of the second group, they woke up and suddenly we could see them as people. And as they stood up, Vega pointed out that the floor where they had been sleeping had blood stains on it, as if they'd been sleeping on open wounds. And when we questioned them, they were that same kind of creepy but friendly, but acted real distressed about being kept away from their work. The next part was the most disturbing for me personally, even considering what we found after. The voice announced that all employees should prepare for feeding. I guess I should back up a bit here. See, each cubicle has this faucet, like those big tall kitchen sink ones. And when the voice made that announcement, all the employees stuck their heads under it and opened their mouths just in time for this slop to come out. You ever been to a pig farm during feeding time, sir? That's what it sounded like, just without the squealing, which was almost worse. And the gulps were so damn loud, it seemed like they were trying to keep up with the flow of the slop and not waste any of it. I'm shocked none of them choked. And as quick as it started, it was back to work like nothing had happened. When we reached the end of the row, we finally got a break from the sweat stench, but it wasn't pleasant. No, we hit a wall of the sickly death smell. Carter found a corpse in one of the cubicles, and it was collapsed at its computer. Bloated and purple, and the rot made it look like its face was melted into the keyboard, and it was oozing all over the desk. We asked one of the workers about it, and they just said the janitor would come and clean up the mess when they came through. Yeah. Vega pointed out that there wasn't any of that feeding slop built up under the faucet, so whoever dispensed it knew that this fella didn't need any more, but they just left him there to melt. I found out from the coroner's report that he had died of sepsis from the infected bed sores. It made sense to me. All the people there had to have sores from sitting in those wooden chairs for all those hours. Well, near the end of the op, after we finished the sweep and we were about to call in the containment specialists, a guy in a suit showed up. He looked like a hotshot you'd see in a TV boardroom. He called himself Vice President of Client Solutions. I had Carter check the records, and there wasn't a Vice President of Client Solutions. So when we questioned him on it, he said he represented a customer-focused growth initiative. I ordered the squad to cuff him, and he just sighed. And then after the handoff to the containment team later on, I heard he vanished, and they found the cuffs on one of the regular employees in the truck we'd put him in. Same head count and everything, too. He must have been some kind of Houdini.